overnight, 20 different recipes on their website. So you got 4 playoff games this weekend, and you got 4 favorites and 4 underdogs, a couple of big underdogs. Who will take the hit? Because you know how Mondays are. When a favorite loses, there's shrapnel. Somebody's got to take a hit. So let's start in all 4 games. Let's start with Green Bay and the Rams. So we know Monday morning, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home as a big favorite have lost. Who takes the hit? My guess, it's Aaron Rodgers. We're going to say, dude, this is now 3 home losses in the playoffs. You're now 10-9 in the playoffs, 6-8 since the Super Bowl. You have a top receiver, a top running back, 7 Pro Bowlers. You can't win at home against an injured Jared Goff. Warm weather team that struggles in cold weather. Aaron's going to take the hit. Fair or not, it's going to be, dude, we got you home field. We went out in the free agent market. They've drafted well. Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, these are star players, and you can't win with them. Aaron's going to take the hit on that one. All right, let's say Baltimore upsets Buffalo. It's a very small line, so it's not a huge upset. I like Buffalo to win and cover, but let's say Baltimore wins. I think the critics of Lamar Jackson on Twitter will take a hit. The media hasn't been really critical, but there's a lot of haters out there, and he can't win trailing, and he can't win when he falls behind. He'll be 2-2 in 4 playoff games. By the way, his touch has gotten better. His passer rating in his career is over 100. He's winning 81% of his games. He just plays differently. But when you're this athletic, you don't have to be, like Phillip Rivers is a good passer. He's the worst athlete, and nobody crushes him. He'll get Hall of Fame votes. This is the best athlete in the NFL in terms of raw speed. He doesn't have to be a great passer. Phillip Rivers can't run and is not always a great passer. And many of you would say he's a Hall of Famer. So I think the critics of Lamar Jackson, a young kid who keeps getting better, but it doesn't look the way quarterback looked for most of our lives, the critics will get hammered. All right, what if Cleveland upsets Kansas City? My takeaway is the media, which always loves stories, the media fell in love, anointed them a dynasty after winning 1 Super Bowl. And I think the media looks kind of silly with this sort of like Kansas City's just going to reel off 4 and 5 Super Bowls. I do think they're going to be in the Super Bowl picture for 12 years. But dynasties are hard. And the media said Seattle was going to be one, and the Niners were going to be one with Harbaugh, and now Kansas City's going to be one. Only one has really been one, and that is New England. That I think the media looks like they get way ahead of the curve on really explosive teams. And if you really look at the last 7-8 games, Kansas City's not playing well. They struggled offensively against Atlanta. Brady ate them alive twice in the last month. And finally, what if the Buccaneers upset the Saints? You know who I think takes the hit? The Patriots. All you had to get him was some pieces, and he's back in a conference championship? You couldn't get him a couple of pieces? I mean, nobody thinks Arians is Belichick. Nobody thinks the ownership group is as good as Robert Kraft. Nobody thinks the home field advantage is as good in Tampa as it is in frigid, cold, windy Foxborough. All Tom needed was a couple of pieces. Boom. He got him. He's in the conference championship against, potentially an Aaron Rodgers level player. So I think that the Aaron Rodgers would take a hit. The Lamar Jackson critics will take a hit. The media anointing the Kansas City Chiefs as a dynasty after 1 Super Bowl would take a hit. And I think it's going to make New England look really bad if Tom ends up at 43 years old in the NFC Championship, knowing that Belichick's superior to Bruce Arians. They could just increasingly never get him any elite weapons. Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
It's official. The Jaguars have hired Urban Meyer as their next head coach.
Yeah.
The team introduced him today, and he spoke about making the transition to the NFL.
Well, if you're asking me if I'm going to enjoy losing, I think we all know the answer to that. I will be in the head coach, but I'm going to hire great coaches that are going to be expected to do their job. I'm not going to be running around like a nut on the practice field, and those days are gone.
We've talked a lot about, what it takes to be successful as an NFL head coach. And I think a huge part of it is what Urban just said, which is hiring really good assistants.
Yeah.
Not necessarily coming in and hiring people you owe things to or get pressured into something else. Like when you go into an organization and you're in charge, hire people that you trust, that you know can do that job, and let them do their job. That's what delegating in a hierarchy means. I'm really excited to see what Urban does there.
I am same way. I can't wait. I mean, listen, I've known Urban for a long time. We work with him. He's really smart. He's a culture changer. We talked about this. When Matt LaFleur was hired in Green Bay, they didn't need a culture changer.
Right.
Just somebody to push Aaron Rodgers, get Aaron playing at his best. That's all they needed. They had a good culture. They draft well. This is a culture change, and this is what he does. So my guess is he'll implement many of the same strategies he's used. And for the record, Joy, he's going to have a very young team. He's not inheriting an old veteran team that's won. He's going to have a bunch of 24-year-olds, so it's going to feel like a super talented college team for the first couple years. Because my guess is Urban, one of the things he can obviously see is, listen, I'll probably be better early with young players joining me in my alliance, and then we'll go cherry pick in the free agent market a handful of veteran players who are coachable and understand what we're trying to do here.
I think that's exactly what he should do, and what's going to happen, obviously, as well, because they are completely rebuilding. I didn't love what Shad Khan said about being involved with personnel, but I have to imagine that he and Urban had long talks about how that's actually running the football side of things as he should be. I mean, I was thinking about it this morning. We talk. I mean, I don't have a personal affinity for Jacksonville. I've never even been to Jacksonville.
Right.
But I don't like bad organizations and duds. It's not good for anyone.
I mean, they were talking about moving this team to London a year ago.
Yes. It's not good for anyone. We talk about the Browns. I am from Pittsburgh. It's against my nature to root for the Browns. But I don't want the Browns to be terrible every single year. You go down the list of teams that your team is playing. Oh, the Browns. Well, that's going to be a day I can get some stuff done with my wife because I don't have to sit there and watch this horrible game.
Right.
Nobody wants that. I want every team to be competitive and in the conversation. It makes for better football. It makes for a better league overall, and I'm excited to see what Urban does there. So Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith has gotten a lot of interest for head coaching positions this year, and after 2 interviews, the Falcons reportedly have offered him their job. He has been the focus for Atlanta during their search, and it appears Smith is also very interested. He has canceled a second interview he was scheduled to have with the Lions.
This feels right. Arthur Smith to Atlanta feels, this is the one we predicted. He has a house in Nashville. He grew up in Memphis. This one feels like the fit. And by the way, Matt Ryan finally gets an offensive coach. He runs that Kyle Shanahan system. This kind of feels right to me.
I think, I was kind of rooting for Raheem Morris to get an opportunity here, but this kind of felt like this was the momentum was going towards Arthur Smith, and he's proven he deserves this opportunity here. The Lions are another team, while we're talking about the Jaguars. Like, how amazing would it be if the Lions were competitive again, like in a conversation?
They feel
like winning that division, that fan base.
Now that Cleveland has their act together, Detroit's the last dead franchise in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, because Jacksonville now, let's just say it, Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence. That is an active, interesting, fascinating football franchise.
Everyone's going to watch to see what Trevor Lawrence and Urban do there.
Detroit's the last dead franchise.
They better do something dramatic. But I think this is a good move. Whatever you're going to do with the Falcons, at least for the immediate future in the next year, is going to revolve around Matt Ryan. He's too expensive to go anywhere.
That's right.
So you have to bring somebody in that can work with him, and having a Shanahan influence. Obviously, we saw the success that he had when Shanahan was there. Makes perfect sense. So the NBA